Hello, this is Vanessa from Keep Me Fiber. I'm here to show you this really neat stitch that I've been working on in my DK Merino Superwash. I have a size 7 knitting needle right here. And again, I'm working with the DK weight, which is like a light worsted. And I'm doing this really cool cross stitch, which you might think would use a cable needle, but it does not. So to make this stitch, cast on a multiple of 8 stitches. So right here I have 32, but you could do 24, you can do 40. So I like this width. I think it's about 6.5 inches wide. So it's a good size. I'm going to be making a cowl with it. So I'm going to be just making a rectangular piece and then sewing onto this edge. So you can see I've worked several inches of this stitch already. And so what you want to do first is cast on, work 4 rows, and then, so you can see up here 4 rows in garter stitch, and then on this next row you're going to be crossing your stitches. You're going to be working an extra long loop to make this cross. So the first stitch of this row is just plain knit, so I just went ahead and did that. Now every other stitch except for the last stitch is going to be knit 1 with 4 wraps. So you go into knit, and then that's 1, 2, 3, 4 times you go around the stitch, and then pull through and slip off as you normally would for knitting. So I'm going to do that all the way across here. 1, 2, 3. Don't worry if they aren't all straight and even on this knitting needle too. It doesn't matter. If they start to get jumbled up, it's okay. It'll fix itself on the next row. I'm using my Queen Victoria colorway, which is really pretty pinks, and it's got bits of orange in it, a little bit of navy, green. This is really nice for a multicolored yarn because it really breaks up a lot of the color work that you would normally see. So, and this yarn is really nice because it will block really well. So see, I'm pulling on it. It's going to block like that. So right now it's kind of like an accordion, but it'll block out nicely. So if you wanted to do this on a fingering weight, you should use maybe a size 3 or 4 knitting needle. You don't want it to be super duper loose because you kind of lose the structure of the stitches if you use too big of a knitting needle. So if you use a chunky weight, maybe a size 10, maybe a size 11, you know, whatever you like to use for that particular yarn. In general, for stockinette is what you want to use. Almost done. All right. Okay, and so like this last stitch is just a plain knit. So here we are. So on this row, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 4 stitches and slip them purlwise with yarn and back to my right hand needle. So that's 1, and that's 2. By the way, that's little Darcy coming in the doggy door. 3, 4. All right, so see those 4 stitches right there? And I got rid of the extra loops, so you just want to pull those loops out just like that. Even though there's 4 strands of yarn around each stitch, it really is still just 1 stitch, 1 big stitch. So you're going to take this left-hand knitting needle and go in the front and then gently pull the other stitches through to make this cross. put them back onto the left-hand needle, and I like to put my thumb right here just to keep that twist where it's supposed to be, and then you're going to go ahead and knit these stitches. So that's 1, 2, and then 2 more, 3, 4, and that is your cross. That is a little cross on this side. We're going to do a little cross on this end. So this next one is going to incorporate 8 stitches. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and see, I'm going in and it's got all these extra strands. Don't worry about that. Just go in this loop here. It's what you want. I think that's 5, 6, 7, 8. Let me just make sure. We have 4 and 4. Perfect. Okay. So just like before, but with more strands, take your knitting needle into the front as such. Gently pull the other stitches through. Put them back onto your left-hand knitting needle. Again, I like the thumb method. It really helps to keep it in place. And then you're going to go ahead and knit them in this new order. All right, see? Little one, big one. Now we got another big one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I should mention I am using a circular knitting needle. This actually works best if you use a straight knitting needle, just because sometimes these extra stitches can get kind of stuck on the cord and make it a little difficult to come up on your knitting needle when it's time to work them. So I am a little stubborn and I like my circulars. So I'm using them anyway, and I'm just dealing with that little bit of, aggravation. It's not that bad though. But if you are a beginner knitter, this is something new to you, you might want to go with the straight knitting needles just to make your life a little easier. So I didn't even tell you what I was doing, but I did it. Did you see that? Very easy. So continue that all the way across. I think we have maybe 2 more to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, take these 4 from the front. Gently push the other ones through the back. Oh. And place on your knitting needle in the new order. And then knit across all 8 of these. Okay, so now we're at the last one here. There should be 4 stitches total. 1, 2, 3, and remember this last one is just a normal little one, but we're still going to pass it over just like before. And we're going to do a little one just like we did at the beginning. We're going to do a little cross. So go ahead and take these 2, slide them over gently, and then knit these 4. So then the next part would be, after you finish this row, would be to knit 4 rows plain, and then go ahead and do that extra row where you knit the first stitch and then knit each stitch throughout with 4 wraps, and then complete this wrap row. So that is my stitch on every other one of these. So you can see down here, this one starts with a big one, this one starts with a little one. On this one I do 8, 8, 8, and 8. So that means that I don't have any little ones on this row. On this row I have 4, 8, 8, 8, 4. So you can see I'm alternating. So again, 8, 8, 8, 8, and then this last one I just did was 4, 8, 8, 8, 4. So it's good to alternate it if you want it to have like this kind of meshy look. You know, you don't have to. They can kind of stack on top of each other, and that's what would happen. So you see that this one has an opening, some negative space here. If you just did 8, 8, 8, 8 across, they would all be stacked on top, which would be really cool and a totally different look. So I hope you do get to try this stitch. It's really fun. One last thing I would say is when you are ready to bind off, I would just do, matching this edge, I would just do 4 rows of plain knit and then go ahead and bind off. If you want it to be like a scarf, if you want to just bind this off, this edge will then pretty seamlessly match this edge to make it into a cowl. So you can make it circular so that this edge will match this one. So please let me know what you think of this tutorial, and I hope that you get to try it out. Thank you so much.